Hi there, I'm Haruka, and I broke my back while trying to pet my cat. I started getting into reading manga back around October or November of 2019. I'd read it off my phone on my bus ride to and from community college, but this ended very swiftly when in March of the next year, Rudy Gobert earned Defensive Player of the Year by shutting down the entire country, and possibly the entire world. Because of this, and the newfound guilt-free time to lay around and read manga, my manga consumption increased exponentially. Like, I was already starting to become that person who reads more manga than watches anime, and because of that, I don't remember when or how I was recommended Sono Bisque wa Koi wo Suru. The receipts on my phone from some various screenshots say that I started reading in early April of 2020, which tracks with my distinct memory of reading it for almost all of Easter Sunday. I was completely caught up by the afternoon. The manga itself was good, but when predicting the top anime of the season, I wasn't expecting Sono Bisque to absolutely explode onto the scene. This adaptation of Sono Bisque might be one of the few moments where the anime is better than the manga. And the only way for it to be better than the manga, it already was for it to be a perfect anime. And I think it might be. Let's start off with the manga and let's talk about the characters. I think it would be more important to talk about the characters first before giving story description. Wakana Gojo, just a nice guy who's really into his craft. He comes from a long line of traditional doll makers and he wants to carry on that tradition. But some girl was weirded out by it when they were kids, which it's fair to be weirded out by the dolls themselves. They're kind of creepy, but being weirded out by Gojo is just being an asshole. Man has taste. So he's a quiet dude, has no friends, and honestly leads a life that seems kind of sad and unfortunately relatable. While he continues working on his craft, he's just not quite good enough at it yet. And even his grandfather, who is teaching him, wants his grandson to live a bit of a life outside of the dolls, but you know how that works. Marin Kitagawa, though, is a classic Genki girl gyaru who everyone needs in their life. But she's also an absolute nerd, like deep cuts nerd. Like her favorite Marvel character is Batroc the Leaper type of deep cuts. She's into the weird shit, and while she has a lot of friends, she doesn't have any friends that she can openly talk about the weird shit with. But the biggest difference between her and Gojo is that while Gojo hides his love away, Marin is open about what she loves. Maybe a bit too much, but it's her passion that brings people to her, as well as how absolutely hot she is, because she's literally a model. Anyway, the story goes is that Marin finds out that Gojo knows how to sew, so she drafts him into helping her make a cosplay for an obscure character that she was trying to do. So they do, and Marin looks pretty damn good in it. They go to a con, show her off, then they meet more people who are involved in the cosplay world. First they meet one of Marin's favorite cosplayers who asks Gojo to make her an outfit as well. Then they later meet a dude who wears cute girl costumes, a man I can truly respect. And eventually, really recently in the manga, they meet this really cool girl in a dragon jacket that makes weapons. So let's go on to the anime, because the anime went harder than it ever deserved to. The animation itself. First of all, Cloverworks is known for its solid visual track record. A subsidiary of A1 Pictures, they've done stuff like Bunny Girl, Wonder Egg, Darling in the Franxx, and Horimiya, but I don't think anyone was expecting the level of detail given to a show like this. Horimiya and Bunny Girl looked nice, but they didn't need much. Wonder Egg was stunning, but it was action-oriented. Same with Darling, like you kind of always have action-oriented stuff looking great. And if we add a Kebi-chan, that came out in the same season, so it was just as unexpectedly beautiful. Before we get on to the more noticeable topic, I do want to point out the amazing design choices made. The fluidity of movements reminded me of that bit in Aizoken where the rich girl learns how to throw water from her grandmother. There are times when things are exact and a time when things are exaggerated, and that's the point because it's animation. Those sort of things are about dynamic movement and turning the objectivity of live action film into the emotional and subjective world of animation. But all those things flowed together not just visually, but thematically. Marin is an incredibly expressive character, and she's allowed to be just that in so many ways thanks to the subjective nature of animation. And the way she shifts from a very realistic form to a moe blob type beat shows the passion that the animation team put into making sure you can see all facets of this girl and see her emotions visually. And of course the obvious thing, the absolute horniness of the animation. The jiggle physics, the weirdly detailed parts of Marin's body that you would never expect to be detailed in an actual on TV anime and not in some really specific drawings. But it should be important to note that a lot of cosplaying is about accentuating these things. You know, there's the whole subplot about the boob bag where she's worried about how her tits will look in the costume and if they'll be big enough. It doesn't feel too objectification-y, and it feels much more like a commitment to talking about things that are actual factors when making cosplay like this. And I also want to talk about the added scenes. This is a very small thing, but one part of Sayonara Watashi no Kramer that I hated was that it added some random scenes that didn't add anything to the overall plot or theming and and kind of took away from it, but that's that problem. In Sono Bisque though, there was some added content that wasn't in the actual manga. It's stuff that was added in to help with the pacing of the anime so that certain story beats could have their own room to breathe in an episode, and the extension of the Visiting the Sea episode was one of the best things I've ever seen. The actual conversation they have in the manga only lasts a single chapter, but in the episode, it's drawn out by a series of birds stealing their food. And while it's definitely fluff, the animation team does so much to make everything feel vivid and alive, and the writer's understanding of the characters and just how well they worked with each other made this scene one of my favorites. And even the songs slap. I am not an anime song dude. I'm open to a lot of music when it happens to me, but I don't usually seek it out unless I like it. And there's just something about the usual J-rock or J-pop that turns me off and makes me not care. Yeah, skipping the opening is a sin. I don't care. I'd rather watch anime when I'm watching anime and listen to music when I'm listening to music. The OP of Sono Bisque actually slaps. There's a lot of anime openings that just sound like idle music, but this feels like just a solid bop. The melody on the hook absolutely drags me in. And then there's the ED, which is even more rare for me to get into. And this ED is honestly the biggest vibe. The soft jazz influence and the kyun 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 are just infectious. And you know what, let's talk about the cultural impact. A perfect anime needs to be more than the sum of its parts. It needs to mean something to the community. Even if the show itself doesn't have anything to say, a great anime can shine a light on something, or even just provide something more to those who watch it than just the show itself. And the reaction to the show was immense. Marin fan art was as inescapable and ubiquitous as it was welcome and lovely. And the show received the rarest of honors, review bombing on Mal from the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Fun fact, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is my mom's favorite anime, although when she thought about it more, she said that Kappa Mikey was better. So maybe take a break from gatekeeping the fucking anime charts, yeah? Anyway, here's what it says about us that this show just absolutely tore through everyone. The love for Marin and respect for Gojo comes from a very insecure place in culture right now. There's a lot of people out there right now who can't really find anything they're passionate about that makes them truly want to do something. Even if they have an interest or a hobby, it's just something that takes up time rather than feeling like a calling. Seeing Gojo throw himself into his work and Marin throw herself into realizing her own dream of becoming a cosplayer can help fill that hole, or in a much more beneficial way, inspire someone to take a look at themselves and find something that will be that passion. And from Marin's side, I think there's a lot of people out there who do have a certain passion, a certain goal to achieve, and they have no one to help them or even interact with them. Sure, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl vibe of Cool Girl manga certainly deserves some level of critique, but in Marin we see a surprisingly relatable character for the audience, someone who was looking for anybody to take her passion seriously and help her on this journey to self-fulfillment. And it's something that's aspirational to people out there, to not only find someone who is that to them, but to be that person for someone else. So sure, there can absolutely be some problems with the show. There's times where the animation does drop a bit, but you cannot deny that this show holds a message to find what you love to do, and someday you will find those who will love to do that with you. Maybe reading this manga during that weird transitional period of my life influenced me, however little, into the direction I am going in terms of writing and YouTube. And as for the second part, that's what I tell myself to keep myself from crying myself to sleep every night. Did you love Sono Bisque doll? Where does Marin rank on the waifu list? Do the themes and relationships of the show transcend the waifu vehicle nature of this? When will my pain and suffering end? This video is actually sponsored by Lucky Cat Sticker Company. Go buy some damn stickers. Slap them on your laptop, slap them on your car, slap them on your own face. I don't care. Go to luckycatsclub.com and enter the code JOCK for 15% off. That is JOCK JOCK for 15% off at luckycatsclub.com. Link in the description. Thank you.